Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 8 of the anime series, Ushio to Tora. And this episode was actually all kinds of badass. Ushio is very much now on his journey with Tora in tow to go seeking his mother and everything. And we're opening this episode. It's like that classic Twilight Zone episode with William Shatner, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, I think it's called, where, you know, he sees like a monster out on the plane wing and everyone thinks he's crazy. And I think they actually adapted that to the Twilight Zone film, you know, sort of reworked it or what have you. And I just always loved that particular classic episode, and because it has that vibe going for it, this particular episode of Ushio to Tora, it's just, you know, it resonated with me on that level already out of the gate. But then the episode proper, the entire, you know, sort of story that unfolds is just gripping and awesome. I love the sort of guest characters we have in the form of Yu, Hayama, and Atsuzawa. You know, he's like a pilot, a military pilot or what have you, and as I was going to say at the start of the episode, you have this yokai, this Fushima, you know, attacking basically an airliner, and there's a near miss in the sky between this airliner, which is piloted by Yu's father, as well as Atsuzawa, who is flying like a jet fighter. And I love how the jet fighters are like, you know, calling back to Top Gun, that model plane and everything. But effectively, we find out that like a month later, you know, it just so happens you and this guy, I guess he's maybe taking guardianship of her or something like that. He's traveling with her, seeing to her well-being now that her father is gone. And she's very much blaming him for the plane crash that resulted in this Fushima's attack. And, you know, just happening to be in the airport, you know, the right place at the right time, Ushio overhears this, and Tora is just losing his guano. I mean, it's just ape over the idea of flight and planes, and it's just miraculous to him before he even gets on the plane. But then once they are on the plane, he's just losing it, and it's a thorn in Ushio's side. But I love that Ushio is being the very, you know, compassionate soul, trying to sort of bridge the gap of, you know, the tension and the remorse and sadness that Yu is feeling in the loss of her father, and trying to understand him, and maybe by sort of, you know, being the shoulder she can lean on, trying to understand what exactly was going on with this so-called monster, get the story straight. You know, Atsuzawa then comes over after she's nodded off, and sort of, you know, he's taken aback, but he also feels somewhat relieved that Ushio is not casting an accusatory finger at him like Yu has been doing. And that Ushio actually kind of sort of believes him. And I like how he sort of shrugs it off as, oh, well, my family, you know, they have their religious beliefs, and I'm used to this kind of thing. Whatever like that, you know. But, of course, as can be predicted, this, you know, Fushima then attacks this plane, and you're not sure how exactly they're going to be able to defeat it, because it's on the outside of the plane, you know. Ushio makes that point. Well, Tora, you could probably pass through it. You are a yokai monster as well. You know, you're a spirit. You could go through, transmute, or whatever you want to call it, phase through the wall, like Shadowcat from X-Men, or the roof of the plane in this case, and try to duke it out with this Fushima monster. And it recognizes Tora from right off the bat. Apparently they had a run-in hundreds of years back, and, you know, Fushima was left believing that Tora was dead at this point. He knows him by one of his other alternate names, and, you know, before Tora departs, he's talking about like the teeth of an old lady yokai, or immense fire are the only two things that are really going to have a fighting chance in taking this creature out before it wipes out a whole other, you know, plane full of travelers and such like that. And you're wondering, how the hell are they going to do that? You know, is the beast spear capable of emanating fire and energy and that kind of thing? Because we've seen that it does have a level of energy far beyond what we can even expect. But of course, what they end up doing is, because this thing has taken out the pilots of this plane, you have Atsuzawa going and, you know, using his flight and flying prowess to try to right this thing, while Tora is going out trying to duke it out with this thing, and Ushio is just trying to figure out, how am I going to go about attacking this? Yu is, finally coming under that comprehension that this was all real. This guy, Atsuzawa, who was a friend of my father's, who I've been blaming for the cause of his death, he was not, trying to pull the wool over my eyes. He wasn't trying to lie for anyone, anyone's benefit, for his own or otherwise. It's all true. And she's horrified. And of course you have Tora finally becoming visible to everyone, and everyone's kind of like shocked and taken aback. But they ramp up this tension with this plane just going up and down and up and down, and the fight, between Tora and Fushima and everything. And I was wondering, looking at the OP, when this particular yokai would crop up and if it would crop up. And I don't know if I'm mistaken, but it seemed like the OP was a little bit extended, the battle between Tora, Ushio, and this Fushima, in that segment of the OP. I could be incorrect. Haven't really always noticed. It's always seemed to go by quicker. It seemed like it might have been elongated because this was the episode he cropped up in. Again, I don't know. But of course you have, Atsuzawa trying to use his influence to get fighter jets to come out and take this thing down, and they don't read it on the radar. They think this guy could be crazy. He could be a crackpot. They have no way to prove this is happening until finally they use the beast spear, and I really freaking was juiced and loved the idea that Yu was a part of this. Both she and Ushio held the spear that stabbed Fushima, to make him start bleeding and make him become visible to the radar. And in a sense, she kind of got, not so much vengeance, but, it was like a catharsis for, being able to be part of that striking blow against this creature that ate her father, which we then have proof of when Tora, there's like a brief calm moment where the human spillage, if you will, that this thing has consumed is stuck to him and it falls off him. And we find the photograph that Yu's father had been carrying when he was tentatively consumed by Fushima. And so finally, now that this thing is read on the radar screens, they send the jets and they blow this sucker out of the sky. Only after Ushio and Tora use the spear to cut off its limbs, its arms, and its feet so it can't hold on to the plane. It'll be moved away from the plane. And it was just fantastic and spectacular, this episode. And what's really interesting is, as the sort of fire eruption explosion is consuming Fushima, ironically enough, he once again, it's a yokai that is recognizing the beast spear and is talking about this Hakumen no Mono. We know that it is a person based on his words, that this guy, Hakumen no Mono, is coming back. And this yokai is actually happy that he's being taken out because he doesn't want to run into whatever Hakumen no Mono is. Apparently he's that bad. So I can't wait to see when this guy's going to erupt, or, if it's going to be like a little person in yokai form, or if it's going to be a giant hulking beast, what exactly it's going to entail. But, of course, Ushio and Tora, they leave. They go on their journey, the heroes that they truly were in this episode. I mean, there's one point where they're, running along the roof of the, jetliner, and it reminded me so much of like the 60s Batman opening animation, that where you got Batman and Robin running alongside each other. Like they were running like that, two heroes to the fight, to the cause. And they made an impression on Yu, and she's a character that, based on this episode, I do hope, much as she was querying to herself, will we meet again? I hope we do meet this character again, because she seemed like a standout character. In the background, she lost her father and everything, but she overcame all of that strife and frustration and sadness. Of course, it'll still be with her, but she was able to sort of get that catharsis, as I say, by being involved in taking out this creature that sent her father to his death, and she was able to make up with Atsuzawa, and it was just freaking awesome. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 8 of Ushio to Tora. If you've seen it, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, or wowed as much as I was by it. If not, why not? Let me know in the comments below. Love having a conversation with you guys. And so yeah, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.